Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode. And today we're diving into a powerful concept that has the potential to transform your life. And the concept is breaking bad habits using the principles of Atomic Habits, Atomic Habits book by James Clear. And if you've ever struggled with habits you just can't seem to shake, whether it's procrastination, unhealthy eating, or negative thinking, what have you, you're in the right place. By the end of this episode, you'll learn simple yet highly effective strategies from James Clear's Atomic Habits that can help you finally break those bad habits for good. So let's jump right in. And before we get into how to break bad habits, it's also important to understand how they form in the first place, right? So James Clear explains in Atomic Habits that every habit, whether good or bad, follows a four-step loop. It's cue, craving, response, and reward. So let's break that down briefly. Cue is actually the trigger that initiates the habit, right? So it could be something as simple as feeling stressed or feeling bored. So that's a cue. And then starts craving. So after the cue comes the craving, and it is actually the desire for a specific outcome. So again, for instance, if you are stressed, so stress is the cue, being bored is the cue, and you may crave a sense of relief, right? So first comes cue, then comes craving, and then comes response. So response is the actual habit or action you perform to satisfy the craving, like scrolling on social media or eating junk food, right? And the final step is the reward. So reward is the feeling you get from completing the habit, like the satisfaction of a monetary distraction or, and some sort of comfort, right? Now, why it is so hard to break bad habits? The problem with bad habits is that they're usually designed to give you an immediate reward, even if it's harmful in the long run. That's why it can feel so challenging to break them. The brain loves instant gratification, right? And in Atomic Habits, James Clear introduces the 4 laws of behavior change, which are the foundation for both building good habits and breaking bad ones. And to break bad habits, you need to invert these laws, right? So you need to do the opposite. So the 4 laws of behavior change, if you actually want to make a habit, make a habit stick, 4 laws are: you have to make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying, right? Now, when it comes to breaking the habit, breaking bad habits, you need to reverse these steps, turning your bad habits into something that's less obvious, less attractive, more difficult, so less easy, and less satisfying, right? And I'll show you how to do it. So let's start with the first law, which is make the cue invisible. So try to understand now. What I'm doing is I'm inverting, like I'm doing the reverse, right? So to break a bad habit, first law will be make the cue invisible, right? And how can you do it? The first step is understanding what the trigger is, right? So take a moment to think about your bad habits or one bad habit that you really want to get rid of. Identify the trigger. What usually happens right before you engage in that habit? Is there a specific time, specific place, or specific emotion, a person, or anything, right, that serves as the cue? Step 2 is to remove that cue or avoid the cue. So once you identify the cue, your goal is to make it invisible. If social media is your distraction when you're trying to work, can you turn off notifications or place your phone in another room? So that would be like removing the cue. If junk food is a bad habit, you can stop buying it altogether or place it out of sight, right? And let me share a practical tip. You can try this. Write down your bad habit and note the exact cue that initiates it. Then brainstorm ways to remove it or reduce your exposure to that cue. If the cue isn't there, the habit can't start, right? And second law is to make the craving unattractive. We need to address the craving part also, right? And make it unattractive. So for that, first step is to reframe your mindset. Often, our bad habits feel rewarding in the moment, but they have long-term negative consequences. To make the craving less attractive, try reframing your mindset, right? You need to highlight the negative effects. For example, if you're trying to quit smoking, rather than focusing on the immediate relief it gives you, think about the long-term health risks, the money you're wasting, and the toll it takes on your energy and well-being. And practical tip for this will be to create a list of all the negative consequences of your bad habit. Keep that list somewhere visible as a reminder to steer away from it. The goal is to shift your perspective so the habit doesn't seem as rewarding as it used to, right? And then third law, make the response difficult. Now we need to make the bad habit harder to perform. So for that, you need to first increase friction. The easier a habit is to do, the more likely you are to do it. So if you want to break a bad habit, you need to increase the friction or increase the difficulty of performing that habit, right? And there are many practical strategies you can use for example, if you tend to, let's say, binge watch TV shows or even YouTube videos or, Instagram reels or YouTube shorts, like instead of, so you like to, binge watch these things instead of maybe working, you can make it harder to access streaming platforms by logging out of all your accounts and uninstalling apps from your phone. For me, when I started, social media detox, I had all the apps in my phone like Instagram, WhatsApp, and many other apps, right? So it was very easy for me to access them. And I uninstalled these apps, but then obviously it was very easy to go to, Play Store and then install them again and all of that. So what I did was these days I'm using very nice, amazing software. And what it does is, like, I installed it in my phone, and then you put the names of apps you want to like stop yourself from accessing. So I put all the names in this app, and it immediately just blocks all these apps. So every time I feel like even downloading these apps or even using these apps, I'm not able to do it. Obviously I'll have to specifically enter the password, enter the app, and then solve a few questions. So it's a long step if I really want to access my social media accounts, right? It has become really hard to access those apps, and because of that I'm no longer doing it, and slowly it has become a habit. I don't even want to use them, right? So that's one example. Another example, if let's say you struggle with late night snacking, put your snacks in hard to reach places, or don't keep them in the house at all, right? So for me, again, I don't keep any unhealthy snacks in the house. But earlier, when I started working on my health, started on working healthy eating, what I did was, like, I put all of them in the like higher shelves, right? So I couldn't reach those easily. I'll have to take a ladder or something to reach those, and I just didn't want to put in the effort to like pick the ladder and then go to higher shelves. So you have to make it really, really difficult for you to access those things. And practical tip is to add friction to your bad habit by adding extra steps that make it inconvenient, right? So for example, for social media apps, extra steps were that I first have to go to that specific app, solve certain questions, put in the password and all of that. Then I was able to access social media apps. For snacking also, I have to pick the ladder, put it there, climb high, then, reach the higher shelves, get the snack. So you have to add extra steps that make it inconvenient. This will disrupt the automatic loop, and it gives you more time to reconsider your actions, right? And fourth law is make the reward unsatisfying, right? We need to make the reward unsatisfying. And for that, you can, one of the best ways, to make bad habits unsatisfying is through accountability. You can share your goals with someone who can check in on you, or better yet, you can join a group with a similar goal, right? The fear of letting someone down can help reduce the satisfaction of indulging in your bad habits. When I hired a diet coach, and I used to log my meals, and sometimes, when we had a weekly check-in, she would tell me, you have been eating, lots of parathas. I mean, uh, so that made me feel really bad about myself. And I'm not saying like it's a personal thing, right? I really felt bad. Like I didn't want to let her down. I didn't want to let my health down. And I knew that I was emotionally, like that was not part of healthy eating, that was emotional eating, right? So if you have someone you can share your goals with, it makes you feel sort of like, you don't want to let the person down. So it helps, reduce the satisfaction of indulging in your bad habits. And another step is you can set penalties for failure. This is another way to make the reward less satisfying. Introduce a penalty. For example, if you're trying to break the habit of wasting money on unnecessary purchases, you could set a rule that if you slip up, you have to donate to a cause you don't like, or something of that sort, right? And practical tip, create small penalties for breaking your bad habits. And the goal is to make the consequence of giving in to temptation less rewarding, right? And, I would say another great way, breaking bad habits is much easier when you replace them with good ones. So focus on replacing bad habits with good ones. Habits don't just disappear. You have to fill the void with a positive habit. So for example, you can use the same cues for new habits. For example, if you want to stop checking your phone first thing in the morning, replace that habit with something healthier, like stretching or reading. When I wanted to replace this habit of checking social media first thing in the morning, what I started doing was I started opening classes early in the morning. So I started taking classes at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. So that way, like I was indulging in something more productive, something more, I would say it's healthier than checking social media or checking your phone first thing in the morning, right? So you can use the same cue like waking up, but attach a new positive habit to it. Cue remains the same, but you attach a new habit to it, right? And I would say whenever you feel the urge to indulge in your bad habit, immediately shift to your replacement habit. And over time, your brain will associate the cue with the new habit instead, right? And trust me, breaking bad habits may seem like a daunting task, but by applying the principles from Atomic Habits, because I've done it, it becomes manageable. And remember, it's about making the bad habits invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. And don't forget to replace them with positive, life enhancing habits, right? Thank you for watching. I hope you found this episode insightful. And if you found, this episode insightful, helpful, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more content on how to transform your habits and improve your life, and share it with someone who is, struggling to maybe break free from bad habits, right? I would love to hear from you. Let me know if there is any bad habits you are working on to break. And I will see you next time with another episode. Till then, take good care.